8:10 at Southern Idaho's Rock Station, 103.1 The Edge. Broc Hard Mornings, joined by a very special guest this morning, Pustulus Maximus of the great rock and roll band GWAR. Now, would you define yourselves, because you kind of you've been lumped in with metal, you've been lumped in with punk. What do you consider yourself?
Oh, baby, it's all rock and roll. It's all rock and roll. But yeah, heavy metal, rock and roll, whatever you want to call it, punk. I mean, we draw from the same well, so it's all good.
Now, obviously, we're going to get into talking about the show that's happening at the Knitting Factory in Boise on Saturday. But there's something more important that we need to cover first. For those who don't know the backstory of GWAR, you guys are actually a fighting force. You're part of a larger fighting force who refer to themselves as the Scumdogs of the Universe. Now, I understand that you guys, meaning GWAR, were a part of that fighting force, but didn't quite make the cut. And so now you've been banished to the planet Earth, never forgetting, though, that mission of ending the human race. Human or scum, after all. How has this mission been so far?
Well, I mean, not good if you follow the lore of the band. We were all banished here to Earth for going AWOL and partying, not really carrying on with our mission. And when we do, sometimes you blow up the wrong planet. But hey, stuff happens. It's water under the bridge. But, I think we found some solace here playing in a touring rock and roll band. There was lots of things we didn't get in the conscripted of the Master's Army, one of them being crack. And it only exists here on Earth, nowhere else. That's kind of an anomaly. You can find carbon elements all over the galaxy, but Earth is the only destination for crack.
Now, you didn't hear this from me, but if you're after crack, if that is the mission before the mission, make a stop into Caldwell before getting to the Knitting Factory on Saturday. Caldwell, from what I understand, is littered with crack.
Oh, I'm sure. The cities around the United States of America are just riddled with drug problems. It's kind of insane that you guys even just let that happen so freely.
Now, I have to believe that because you are the rejects of the Scumdogs of the Universe, and you're now making your way around Earth as a rock and roll band, do the drug problems happen to make their way onto your tour bus from time to time?
Not as much as they used to, but yeah.
All right, so speaking of drug problems, let's talk about the couple of bands that you guys are playing with on Saturday. You've got I Hate God, who will be opening up the show, and then Napalm Death. And I gotta ask, they're touring around the country with you. Does that mean that they, too, are subscribing to the Scumdog philosophy or their Scumdog mission?
Not typically, but I've been a huge Napalm Death fan for a long, long time. So having those guys out on this tour is phenomenal. It's great. They're kicking ass. People are really enjoying the show. I Hate God. It's a great opening act. They're killing it too. This is one of the better lineups that we've had in a long, long time.
You guys have been at it for a long time, in fact, over 30 years. And one thing that I think is important to realize is that, sure, you can go download GWAR music, you can go buy a GWAR album, but you really don't fully understand and comprehend the band until you get to one of the shows. So for a newbie, somebody who hasn't been to a GWAR show before, how do you prepare them? What do you tell them?
It's something you have to see. It's like we're shoehorned into this, rock and metal kind of touring cycle. As far as you go to a show, you're not just going to see a bunch of guys dressed in T-shirt and jeans jumping up and down, playing guitars and stuff. It's way, way more than that. It's like we've got, we just try to put on a rock show, and then all of a sudden these villains and enemies come up and try and stop us. And a lot of times we have to fight them on stage. And, if we have to cut their head off, we show our appreciation to the audience by letting the blood and everything just spew all over everyone. And that's a big part of it, and sometimes, we bring out drugs on stage to share or animal sacrifice. Donald Trump was a huge fan, and he came out to a lot of shows. And actually, President Joe Biden is coming out to some of these gigs as well and checking us out. So we've had a long tradition of presidents being fans of the band.
Which surprises me, because historically, you typically decapitate whatever president is in attendance at the show. Take, for example, Donald Trump and Joe Biden. You've decapitated them both, but somehow, at least President Biden continues returning to your shows. How is this possible?
Well, because their health care plan is government. It's
Right.
way better than anything that we're getting.
It is pretty disgusting. The fact that for 1 minute they're making a call to Walter Reed Medical Center without a head, saying, hey, I have lost my head. I've been decapitated. The next minute, here they are, reattached head. They didn't even have to wait in line. They didn't even have to show proof of insurance.
Yeah, I think that's brutal. They're leaving out the common man,
Diving a little further into your stage antics, what's the last animal sacrifice that made its way to a GWAR stage?
A dog, but it looked like it looked like they got it out of the street. I think it was already dead.
Let's be a little more specific. Are we talking like golden retriever, black lab, poodle? I mean, a dog of sizable nature, or is this like wiener dog style?
Flattened. It was a flattened dog for I guess like a tour bus or something must say it is.
Yeah, my favorite breed, the flattened dog.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that we could expect all of this madness to fill the stage on Saturday night at the Knitting Factory up in Boise, yes?
Of course. You can expect the most glorious show that you've never seen before. I mean, not only do you have the wonderful GWAR boys in town, but the return of Techno Destructo, who hasn't been seen with the band in probably almost 20 years at this point. He's back on stage, and it is, I'm telling you, it's amazing. I mean, if you've never seen a GWAR show, other bands don't give the way we give. We're like philanthropists of role. It's like we expel our blood and bodily fluids onto the audience throughout the show, and it is a sight to be seen. No one's ever seen stuff like this before. Never.
The first time I fell in love with GWAR was, and I think it was late 90s, you guys released a beautiful love ballad entitled Fish, and it was the gateway right into my heart. In fact, if I could, I'd like to recite just a couple lines from the song. It gets underway. Fish, baby, I want to with a fish. I want to take a river carp and you get the point. Beautiful love song, beautiful ballad. And I've been hooked ever since.
Nobody does what we do, and nobody does it as poorly as us as well. But I mean, I kid. This is the most amazing show on the planet, period. And I've been doing this with these guys for a long time. This is the best tour and the best show that we've had since I've been in the band. So, I mean, this is incredible. The lineup's fantastic. The guys on stage are fantastic. Our suits of armor are polished and ready to go. I mean, this is it. This is the show you need to see. And they've been selling out like crazy, which is also great, for us, because obviously
money.
More people means more money.
Right.
And that means more child support that I can pay, more alimony and things like that, instead of keep getting locked up after tour. But, and we just kind of thought initially, well, maybe it's because nobody's been out, nobody's toured for 2 years, and that's why the attendances are so great. But, man, I think people realize that this is a really good show going on. Because some other guys I know, they just got bumped to a smaller venue last week because their show was not as well attended. So I'm like, well, cool. That means we're doing something right.
You are, and you have been for decades. A GWAR show, not only do you get the headbanging, thrashing, metal, punk rock fusion of all genres of greatness, but you also get the theatrics on stage like you're talking about, and you really are getting kind of like two shows in one.
Yeah, I mean, you can't have one without the other with GWAR. It's like, again, GWAR just isn't some guys that go up on stage and play rock. It is a big, big show. It's more show than you deserve, but unfortunately, that's what we bring to the table.
This will be my first show post-pandemic shutdown when the whole world closed off, and I could not think of a better way to bring myself back out to the venue than a GWAR show. I'm totally stoked to see you guys, and I know a ton of the freaks are excited as well. KnittingFactory.com is where you get the tickets. Again, you're playing with I Hate God, Napalm Death, two other fantastic acts, and then the main event, GWAR. And Pustulus Maximus, man, thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you Saturday night.
All right, the pleasure is all yours.
Thank you, man.
All right, peace.
Bye-bye.